Hello, folks. Welcome to another L3 Levine Electronics webinar. My name is Michael McClellan, and of course, I'm with L3 Levine Electronics. We're a manufacturer's rep that covers states in the Southeast, like Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. We have two divisions, a controls division, which certainly Socomec falls under, and a power division. We hope you'll check out our website at l-3.com. We're trying to give back to the industry to make it safer and better for all. We have been running these webinars almost daily during the COVID-19 pandemic. All of these webinars have been recorded and they're available on our website. I think we have like 58 or 60 videos posted for your education. Hopefully you see us as the technical expert in our territory for transformers, arc flash, controls, metering, relay protection. This is a webcast format, so your phones are muted. However, we would love for you to interact with us. We would love it if you would ask questions or have comments, and there is a question box hopefully in your user interface down the left-hand side, I believe. So please feel free to test that now if you'd like, and just type in test or question, and we'll make sure that's working. And you can save your questions to the end, or you can type them as you think of them, and we will answer when appropriate. We have quite a few folks on the line today. Julia Murphy will actually be conducting the presentation. She is a senior technical associate with Socomec, and we also have some other folks as backup to her in case we get into any technical questions. We have Fabian Taylor, who actually resides in France. He currently has some people waiting on him for dinner. And we have Paul Smith, who's the regional director at Socomec, and we also have David. Let's see, I guess David's not quite on yet, but with that, Julia, take it away.
Okay, well, thank you. So just to start, welcome everyone. As said, my name is Julia Murphy, and I will be doing today's webinar. I work for this company called Socomec, so I'm the Senior Technical Sales Support Engineer. I've been with Socomec for 3 years, and I work on all of our pre-sales, post-sales, product selection, and tech support for our entire product range. So I've been there for about 3 years, so it's been a while. As they said, a couple of reminders today, so just make sure you ask your questions in the question box, and we'll answer all those at the end. We also have a handout available at the end, kind of discussing some of the standards we talk about today, and we can get started. So for the agenda, we'll do the standards, so the UL508, UL98, and a little touch on UL508A. And then after, we'll go over some of Socomec's products that would fit in each of these standards and applications. So first, I just wanted to introduce Socomec to everyone, in case you haven't heard of us or heard just a little bit. So Socomec is an electrical equipment engineering and manufacturing company. We specialize in low voltage energy performance. So we've been around for nearly 100 years now, and we're headquartered in France with over 3,600 employees, 12 manufacturing sites, and 28 subsidiaries. So in the US, our subsidiary is located in Boston, Mass, where I am located, and we have 4 separate business applications. So each of these have their own types of products. So the first is power switching, which you will see some of the product today. In our power switching segment, we have disconnect switches, transfer switches, photovoltaic switches, and a lot more. The next segment we have is power monitoring, which includes single circuit and multi-circuit metering product. We also have power conversion, which includes UPS and energy storage systems. And then lastly, we have expert services. So as you may know, a lot of these products have, maintenance contracts, preventative maintenance, commissioning, things like that. So that is all covered under our expert services business application. So also, as you may know, today's webinar is hosted by L3. So on the bottom right-hand side, you can find their contact information as well. So to start, we're going to do a quick poll. And should be seeing it. Okay, so just before we dive into the presentation, I just wanted to do a quick poll to kind of see everyone's current knowledge of the standards. So the question is, can you use a UL508 listed disconnect switch to interrupt a feeder circuit? Yes or no? So you can do that. So in the coming slides, we'll be able to see the answer to this question. So depending, I just like to see where everyone's knowledge is at for the start. So it looks like it's pretty much 50-50 right now. Give you a couple more seconds. Okay, awesome. So it looks like the majority answered no, which is the correct answer. So if you were unsure about the answer, you can see in the later slides that for a feeder circuit, a UL98 switch is what needs to be used in that application, and we'll kind of discuss why. Okay. So to start our discussion about the standards, on this slide you can find an image of the essential parts of a circuit required by Article 430.109 of the NEC, which describes the disconnect means for motor application and defines how disconnect products are intended to be used and installed. So you need a disconnect means, branch circuit, short circuit protection device, motor controller, motor overload protection device, and a manual motor controller suitable as a motor disconnect. So with each of these, NEC requirements come with different certifications per the device. So in today's webinar, we will be focusing on the UL98 and the UL508 standards. The first is the UL98 standard, which you can see is circled at the top of the circuit. And to get into those details, the UL98 is the standard for enclosed and dead front switches. The switches with this standard are primarily used as service entrance, feeder, or branch circuit disconnects. However, these switches can also be used for motor disconnect applications as well. So in the picture on the right, you can see that the UL98 disconnect goes at the top of the circuit, and an electrical installation is made up of these feeder circuits and branch circuits. The feeder circuits supply multiple branch circuits together or multiple loads, while the branch circuits supply just a single load, such as a motor, lights, a transformer, things like that. So feeder circuits must utilize the UL98 switches, and these branch circuits can use either UL98 or UL508 switches. So kind of bringing it back to the poll, you can see now that for feeder circuits, you need to use a UL98 switch. The next standard is the UL508. So you can see in the same drawing from the previous slides where the UL508 switch would be implemented, so just above that motor. So first we have this UL508 standard, which is the standard that covers industrial control equipment and devices accessory for starting, stopping, regulating, controlling, or protecting electrical motors. So a few years back, the IEC and UL standards began to integrate their standards. So the UL508 was one of the first standards that has already implemented this integration. So switches that were certified before the integration would list as UL508, which you'll see with some of the Socomec switches, the UL508, and switches certified after the integration would be certified UL6947-4-1, which you can see right here on the slide. So You may see both of these as you go through various different switches and certifications, and they are the same standard. It's just the UL and the IEC are trying to integrate their standards, so that's why you may see both of these. But if you have an enclosed UL508 switch, the standard of the complete solution is still UL508 or that UL6947-4-1, depending when, again, the enclosed solution was certified. So for example, in our later slides, you will see the Socomec enclosed disconnect switches, and those are rated UL6947-4-1 because we added those to our product range after the integration of the UL and the IEC standard. And since daily I'm in contact with customers and people on the field, I have also heard of some confusion between the UL508 standard and the UL508A standard. So I just wanted to very briefly explain that the UL508A standard covers industrial control panels. So meaning that these are complete panels that have a UL98 switch, so service entrance rated inside. So the UL508 is still for motor disconnects, but if an enclosed solution is UL508A rated, then it means that it has a UL98 switch inside. So it's kind of confusing, but after enough practice, you can see that the difference between those two. So in later slides, you will be able to see, for example, our enclosed UL98 switches have a complete solution standard of UL508A. So to summarize, the UL98 standard is for enclosed dead front end switches, while the UL508 is the standard for industrial control equipment. The UL98 switches have higher short circuit ratings, and they can be used for service entrance, feeder, branch circuit, or motor disconnection. If you have a motor application with a high circuit rating, you can use the UL98 switch for that. The UL98 also has higher overload withstand and requires more spacing than the UL508 switches. So you can see the UL98 switches in the coming slides. They're a little bit bigger because of these different requirements from the standard. And then the UL508, which are switches for motor disconnecting means, these are used just for the motor applications. They're not, if you use one of these for a feeder circuit, it's a misapplication. And I know that the size and cost difference of a UL508 switch makes it really tempting to use, but the liability concerns of using a UL508 switch in a UL98 application is very high. So you need to be very careful that you're using the right switch for the right application. So luckily for everyone, we at Socomec, we do have switches for each of these applications. And I will begin to show you some of these products now. So in this slide, you can see our Circle M UL508 switch. So at Socomec, you can see with our UL switches, a lot of them have the standard tacked on to the title of the switch to make it even easier for product selection. So this is the perfect product for motor disconnection applications. Our range is from 16 to 100 amps and is extremely compact. Obviously, the picture on the screen is not to scale, but it's very compact for those motor applications. And at Socomec, we offer a wide range of accessories for all the switches. So we have direct handles, external handles. This one can be door mounted, terminal shrouds, things like that, to really make the solution customizable for each application. You know, everyone needs different shaft lengths or different accessories with the switch. So really make sure that you can customize your solution to your application. This switch also can be converted into a 6 or 8 pole switch, or it can be converted into a transfer switch with the appropriate product and accessories. Without going into too much detail, the options available. So if you have questions after this, you can obviously contact us or L3. But the main thing about this switch, it's modular, so meaning, you know, they can add 4 poles, auxiliary contacts, and really making it a customizable solution. So looking a little bit deeper into the characteristics of the Socomec UL508, at Socomec, we choose to test for a higher fault short circuit rating. So the Socomec UL508 switches have up to 65 kA short circuit rating. It can also be used up to 600 VAC, and it has high HP ratings, making it you know, a really suitable motor disconnect. The short circuit rating is something that we test, so when it's used with a class phase fuse, then you can achieve that high short circuit rating of 65 kA. Otherwise, the standard one, I believe, is 5 kA. So it's just something that we do at Socomec. We also offer the Socomec range, but it's UL98 certified. So you can see on the right of the slide that the switch is a little bit bigger. It has more distance between the poles with those terminal shrouds, things like that. So this ranges from 30 to 100 amps. So really for smaller UL98 applications, lower rating ones. And again, this is customizable with our large range of accessories. And you can see that it's just a little bit bigger, but that's just due to the higher short circuit rating requirements, the higher overload withstands, and the larger spacing that the UL98 standard requires for these kinds of switches. So here you can see the characteristics for this Socomec UL98. It is also tested up to 600 VAC, and it was tested to achieve a high fault short circuit rating of 100 kA. So you can see it has that higher short circuit rating. It's also HP rated, and the switch characteristics can always be found in our catalog pages or on the side of the switch that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. All these characteristics are also posted on the switches as well. And then another UL98 switch that we offer, so this is for higher current rating applications, UL98 applications. So this switch is rated from 100 to 1200 amps. And this design has been sold on the field since 1972 and has proven reliability, robustness, and quality. So one of the really cool things that I like about this switch and on the field, what we've had is that on the right-hand side of the switch, you can see this indication of the position of the switch. And if this symbol on the right-hand side, so it's an O, doesn't match the symbol of the handle, then you know that there's an issue with the switch. So it's an extra kind of safety precaution for people to really ensure that the position of the switch is what it's supposed to be in. So if it has this O, which is off, then the handle should also be in the same position. If the handle is not, then you know that there's something wrong with the switch. Don't touch it. Don't try to do maintenance or anything, because it could still be on when it says it's off. So that's a really cool thing about the switch, is that kind of extra safety precaution. And then this switch has short circuit ratings of up to 200 kA. And in this slide, you can also see our arc chute chamber. So that just cuts the arc very quickly to, again, ensure safety of people. This switch has really reliable electrical components, high electrical characteristics, making it a really durable switch for UL98 applications, which is important as you're getting up to the 1200 amps feeder circuit applications. You really want to make sure that you have a durable, reliable switch. And this switch has been proven on the field for many years now. So along with all these switches, we also offer them enclosed. So the Socomec UL508 is enclosed in 30 and 60 amp versions in polycarbonate, fiberglass, stainless steel, and painted steel. Those are the ones that are the UL 497-4-1. So similar to the UL508, but again, it has that standard because we created these after the integration. And then for 100 amp, we have the Socomec UL98 enclosed in, again, the polycarbonate, fiberglass, stainless steel, and painted steel. And like I said earlier, this one is rated UL508A. So that is the enclosed UL98 switch standard. Then we also offer the Circo UL98 enclosed from 200 to 1200 amps in a NEMA 3R12 enclosure. This, again, you can see is also rated UL508A, and there's additional accessories you can add. So you can see here on the slide on the left-hand side under approvals that standard that is the same as the UL508 for the 30 to 60 amps, so motor disconnect applications. And then underneath that, you can see the 508A, which is an enclosed UL98 switch for feeder applications. So you can see how selecting these standards can be very important. It can be a little bit tricky at first for sure, but making sure that you have the right switch for the right application is important. And I know that UL508 is smaller and typically more cost effective, but it can't be used in those feeder circuit applications. And it's very important that you use a UL98 switch instead. Today we reviewed all of our non-fuse disconnects that meet the UL98 or UL508 standards. Just quickly, we offer a fuse disconnect that has UL489 and UL98 certified certifications on it. So in another webinar, we'll plan to discuss this in detail, but we have those available if you have a fuse disconnect application that requires either of these standards. And now we'll just do another quick poll. So now after we did everything kind of quick, I know, but we just wanted to test your knowledge. So in this poll, it's which series of disconnects should you use to interrupt a 200 amp load? The Socomec UL508, a Circo UL98, a Socomec UL98, or Socomec doesn't have a product available. So if you can put some answers in to kind of test the knowledge, see what we learned. But I do know it's a lot of information, so I promise I won't be mad if it's wrong. So I'll give you a minute or so to do that. But hopefully everyone kind of got a little introduction to some of these standards. They're commonly used daily, and I've definitely seen a lot of questions about these on the field. So it's definitely important to review, even if you know the insides and outs. It's good to just review the standards, and we always try to do that at Socomec to make sure everyone knows what's the right switch for the right application. So let me close it. And looks like most of you had the correct answer. So the correct answer is B, the Circo UL98, because the application is to disconnect a load, like I said. So you can use either a UL508 or a UL98 switch. However, Socomec's Circo M range only goes up to 100 amps. So you need to use the Circo UL98 range, which is rated 100 to 1200 amps. So it's kind of a trick question, sorry. Everyone hates when teachers did that in school, but it looks like most of you weren't tricked. So as a handout for this webinar, we have a technical note written by Socomec kind of discussing the UL98, the UL489, which we saw briefly for the fuser block, and the UL508 standards. So please feel free to download this material. You can look at it on our website, and it's just a short 2-page kind of technical note, again, discussing what we saw today. But thanks everyone for coming. I'll see if there's any questions. It looks like there's an issue with the handouts being downloaded. So that's the only really comment. So I'll just make sure that L3 has the handouts and they can share them with everyone who came to the webinar and make sure that those are working. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why they're not downloading, but okay, everyone. Feel free to ask questions. If you have any questions after this, please feel free to email L3 or Socomec. We'll be happy to answer and help. But thanks again for coming, and hopefully you learned something new today.